everybody. Thank you for tuning in. My name's Julie Mann. I am a professional network marketer. I'm an actor and I'm also an EFT practitioner. And I'm joined today by the lovely Priscilla Morris. Hi, Priscilla.
Hello there, Julie.
A woman of many talents.
Thank you very much for saying so.
So for those of you that don't know, Priscilla is a professional speaker, also an actor, an author, and a voice and public speaking coach, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Yes.
So Priscilla, obviously as an actor and also really as a human being, I know the importance of our voice, having a voice, knowing how to use it so that people want to listen. And also it's important what we're saying. So before we get into that and the kind of work you do, what I'm really curious about is what led you to do what you do today. What's a little bit of your journey?
Okay. It's quite a long one. It started a long time ago. So I've been in self-employment now for 45 years. And initially I was trained as a professional actor. So that was the beginning. And unfortunately, as is the case with many actors, and you've probably been in a similar place to me, Julie, there's not enough work out there, is there? So you have to think about how you're going to earn a crust. And because I met my husband at drama school and he's a musician, I thought it was easier for him to go on the road and earn money and for me to stay at home. So I started in a very small way with a few young people in my front room, confidence building, acting training, that sort of thing. And before I knew it, my drama school had grown into something that was pretty big with other members of staff. It was a proper business and I ran that for 40 years. My daughter took it over eventually and now she's very successfully continuing it in her own way. But for me, the interesting thing about the period in between was several things happened along the way. I got invited to become an examiner for LAMDA, which is one of the big London drama schools. I also got invited to become an adjudicator of speech and drama and public speaking and everything to do with communication for the British and International Federation of Festivals. And I also regularly had phone calls from business people saying, I noticed that you're running a speech and drama school. Can you help me? Because my voice doesn't do what I want it to do. And it made me think initially, I'd never really thought about the business world before. So what I did was I approached a marketing company and said, how do I get into this business world? How do I find out about it? So they, of course, introduced me to networking, which I did a huge amount of around about sort of 2000 and the early 2000s. I started a new company called Loud and Clear Voice Coaching, and went out there, networked, found out what people wanted, and then devised courses and tuition packages which were geared to the business world. And I loved it. It was a new challenge. I'd been lucky. I'd been very successful in the speech and drama world. So it really was something brand new for me to get my teeth into. And more recently, I've also added the lovely job of being able to go on cruise ships sometimes and be a guest speaker. So that's the sort of work and holiday combined, which is lovely to have. But I really enjoy the business world, which is now 90% of my work. I do still work with a few young actors, but really most of my work now is in the business sector, and it can be anywhere, UK, abroad. I've got several foreign clients at the moment, and they come in for all sorts of reasons, and you never know what's going to come next. So there quite often can be a conversation which ends with somebody saying, well, can you help me? And me saying, I do not know, but shall we give it a go?
I absolutely love your attitude. I was doing a bit of research this morning actually about the fear of public speaking, which is called glossophobia. I know you know that. Yeah. But it is one of the most common phobias, isn't it? And it actually is ahead of death, spiders, and heights, which I think is amazing. And actually there was some research done by the Institute of Mental Health, and apparently public speaking anxiety affects a massive 73% of the population. Isn't that staggering?
That doesn't surprise me.
No, but it surprises me. And the underlying fear, of course, is the fear of the judgment, you know, and the kind of negative evaluation from others. So what are your thoughts on that, Priscilla?
The way I approach this is, I think knowledge is power. So if you have more understanding of the science behind communication and how you can get it right, it takes away some of that fear. I know there are lots of people tend to purport the idea that think about your audience in their underwear, and I always think, why? That would just make me laugh. I don't think it should reduce my fear. Whereas if you have some understanding that we know scientifically that if you control the pace, you influence your audience more positively. If you vary your voice more, they're more likely to listen to your message. If you use, if you're fairly relaxed in your body language and you use your facial expression, all of these things, which in a way are sort of common sense, but when you put them all together, you begin to put together a sort of a recipe of cure, shall I put it like that? So really I'd say to students, to clients, I'm just going to give you information. I'm going to help you understand what works. And then we'll look at physically and mentally how we can achieve that, to take away the sense of, I don't know what's going to happen, because I think that's the real fear, isn't it? The fact that I might fall rather flat on my face. I might forget all my words. I might, you know, throw up. I might do something terrible. And actually, when you look at it realistically, who sits in an audience wanting the speaker to be bad? The answer is nobody.
Good point.
Yeah, I mean, your audience is a positive in the equation, not a negative. They want you to be good. They want you to enjoy it, and they will then enjoy it and relax as well.
Absolutely. So you've obviously touched a bit on the fact that you've travelled all over the world, and I know that you've got a really long list of respected clients that you've worked with. So what would you say are the kinds of people that you work with, and typically what are the most common issues that they have?
Right, types of people, that really is a long piece of string, because I mean, if I just use my clients at the moment, I have somebody from the military, I have a surgeon, I have senior management, I have an accountant, various people who run their own businesses. The list is huge, and you never know, somebody who's running a media company. So you just don't know where the inquiries are going to come from, because I think the point about it is everybody has to communicate. So it's something that it benefits everybody to know something more about it, and why it's important to understand your voice. I've forgotten the second part of that.
The kind of things that they want you to help them with.
Yes.
Specifically, yeah.
Okay, so I would say there are 4 areas. The first is correct volume. So have they got enough volume for the circumstance in which they're using their voice? It's amazing how many people have a naturally quiet voice and find it very difficult to actually increase that volume. And so teaching them how to regulate it and understand where the power of the voice comes from is one of the key things. And getting that bigger voice out of the person will happen in the first session. So, you know, it's not, once you trigger it, everybody's got one that, you know, a voice that's loud enough. It's just finding it. Another area would be clarity of speech. So this, I think, in particular, nowadays, there is a sense whereby we tend to want to do things fast, and we speak fast as well. So that can be a problem. And actually, during the pandemic, I think one of the things that people have realized is when they have to do webinars, perhaps international webinars with people from all over the world who have English as a second language, if you don't go slowly enough and you don't pronounce your words clearly enough, people don't understand you. And it's a real problem. So I also do a lot of work with people who want to just soften the edges of their accent, or they have English as a second language and they want to improve their pronunciation, their stress patterns, so that they can get a bit more flow, and that also helps the understanding. Third section would be the way the voice is varied, so what we call modulation, but you could also call it musicality. So how much movement you get in the voice. You know yourself, if you listen to somebody and they're a bit flat, oh gosh, you know, you want to go to sleep after about 5 minutes. It's a crucial thing. And one of the scientific surveys that was recently done in America found that for a charismatic voice, for that voice that you really are drawn to, it's all to do with the musicality. So the extremes of notes, how high can you go? How low can you go? How much do you use that melody in the speaking? So that is quite a regular thing that I have to help people with. And then the fourth one would be the public speaking side of things, for those who need to do it, to grow their business, to inform people, to motivate their staff, etc. And so getting people to understand what key things are there. The delivery matters more than the words, which is a bit surprising, but is true. And just having more confidence, because I think confidence is the key to doing it well.
Wow, there's just so much in it, isn't there? So it's, yeah, fascinating. And yeah, the confidence thing, I guess, you know, that's going to impact every area of their life, you know, once they're able to overcome those fears.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Does that also involve, sorry?
No, please carry on.
Does that also involve, you know, making eye contact and also, yeah?
Yes. I mean, I suppose when you're talking about body language, you're including eye contact there. So having an awareness of how you're holding your body, your posture can affect your voice too. So all of that is integrated into everything that I do. So I know a lot of people separate body language, but I think that voice and body language are connected directly, and the way you carry your body and the way you position your head, all this sort of thing, can actually have a direct effect on how your voice sounds.
Amazing. So I remember when we spoke a few months ago, Priscilla, you were telling me that you also work with the transgender community, and it was a really informative and incredible conversation that we had. And it'd be really great if you could just maybe talk a little bit about how you work with them.
Sure. Now, I don't purport to be an expert in this at all. I mean, I've worked with, I think 4 to date, but it's purely on the basis that they found me and said, help, please. And so again, it's been a process of me finding out what is helpful. If you're moving from from female to male, then there is a process that you go through taking hormones, which actually will make your voice sound more appropriate. So people who are doing that journey do not usually need a voice coach, because the body sorts itself out. But unfortunately, going in the other direction, so going from male to female is really difficult, because for a male, the voice has already changed. It's broken and you can't mend it. So no amount of hormones are going to make a difference to it. So for those people, it's very important to find, and I know there's a sort of a pun here, but I'm going to call it no man's land, which is effectively a band of notes where if you get there, then there is a good chance that people will not identify you directly with either sex. So in other words, when they see you, they accept the pitch that they're hearing. So it's getting that slight shift up in the pitch range, which still feels comfortable to the person, but indicates to the listener that they are listening to a female. And it's tricky. It depends very much on where the voice sits to start with. So I did work with one lady whose voice was quite light to start with, a light tone and sort of a mid-range pitch. And for her, it was relatively easy to slip into a level just slightly higher and to work at that. But if the voice already sits quite low, it's quite hard to do. And it demands a lot of focus and a lot of concentration on the part of the client.
And it doesn't happen overnight, obviously.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But I would say that that's true of pretty well everything that you do with a voice. It is not a quick fix, because you have to break down habits that are not right and replace them with habits that are right. And if you've ever tried to break a habit, you'll know how difficult that is. Yes,
absolutely. Brilliant. Okay. So if there's someone watching today who is maybe having they're a little bit anxious about doing some speaking in front of maybe, just a couple of people, or possibly a large group of people, what advice would you give them that they could perhaps take away and really implement and make a difference to that experience?
I think preparation is key. The more prepared you are for whatever you're going to do, the less anxiety you'll have. So lots of rehearsal, and this is not about learning a script, really. Generally, I would always say that the most effective speakers are those who speak from the heart. So they're saying what they feel and what they think. And you wouldn't normally be talking about something you don't know really well. So it's not as if somebody's saying to you, talk about something you've researched last week. That's not going to happen. It's going to be something that's ingrained inside you. And to talk from the heart and accept that it's okay to make mistakes, because people do in real life, that's okay as well. To find that thought process which gives you the spontaneity. It's fine to have pauses. It's fine to change your mind. You can start off on a sentence and then think, no, that's not where I want to go. And just say to your audience, let me rephrase that, and start again. If you have lots of practice, you will know roughly what you're going to say. You don't have to repeat the same words. And prepare by knowing your audience as well. Find out as much as you can about who they are, what their background is. It may be perhaps in your own company, it'll be obvious, but it might not be. How long are you going to speak for? Time it, make it fit into the time scale, and less is better than more. So in other words, be under the time if you can, because the person organising the event will be very pleased with you and will ask you to speak again.
Brilliant, what great advice. And I guess ultimately it's really about being yourself, isn't it, Priscilla?
It is, absolutely right. You don't need to put on a character, you don't need to pretend to be somebody you're not. Just be yourself and just talk about things you know. And usually there'll be some sort of logical progression of thought you can use, because logic's quite important. And I very often say time is good. So when did you start doing this? And how have you got to where you are now? And where are you going? So, that can take you through a speech quite effectively.
Fantastic. And do you find it's useful to practice in the mirror or to record it and listen back?
Both, actually. Both of those are very useful. So if you do it into a mirror, you get a sense of what the audience will see. So that is helpful, just to, I suppose, saying to yourself, you don't look, ridiculous. And then if you record yourself, what that will give you is a sense of your timing. So is it a bit too quick? Also, are you using variation in the voice enough? Are you making it sound as if you're really connecting with your words? Because we can hear that in the tone color. So when somebody is disconnected, so in other words, if they're saying the same old thing that they say every time, it becomes a little bit dulled. It loses some of its power. But if you're really thinking about what you're saying, your tone of voice will change with the feelings that you're expressing.
Yeah, and much more interesting to listen to. And also, I guess the thing about looking in the mirror and practicing is that often that's such a huge deal for people, isn't it? They don't actually want to be looking at themselves, and that's in itself an obstacle to overcome, isn't it?
It is. And indeed, even more so is the recording of the voice. Because, if you ask anybody, do you like your voice? Well, what do you think of your voice? They'll go, oh, no, that's horrible. It doesn't sound like me. And again, that's because of science, because our own sense of our voice is totally internal, inside here. And what we send out into the air, the passage of the vibrations of the voice through the air, is a very different thing. So what people receive is quite different often to what we think they receive. And that in itself is a problem.
Yeah, great point. So if anyone wants to find out a little bit more about you, Priscilla, how would they do that?
Probably the best port of call initially is to have a look at the website, which is www.loudandclearuk, that's all one word.
That's a great name.
Yes, .com. So loudandclearuk.com. It's a comprehensive website. It tells you all about the things I do, and there's plenty of testimonials there from people I've worked with as well. So give you a good sense of whether I can help you or not. And then just give me a call and we'll have a chat. It's as easy as that.
What I also love about the way you work, Priscilla, is just that you have such a great sense of fun.
Oh, yes. I think if something is fun to do, you're more likely to want to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we go, anything you'd like to say?
I think what I'd like to say is think about your voice, folks. Don't just accept it as being automatic pilot. You may speak in a certain way because of lots of reasons, but you might be able to be better if you understood it a little bit more. And it's fascinating.
Thank you so much, Priscilla.
My pleasure, Julie.